Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kitty. I'm a hypnobirthing instructor, antenatal educator. I'm a registered general nurse. I'm also a birth and postpartum doula as well as a lactation consultant. And over here on my page I talk about everything from birth, pregnancy, postpartum, breastfeeding, all of that stuff. So if you're interested in that kind of content, make sure and hit that little subscribe button and the notification bell down below so you don't miss any more of my videos. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the things that I did and didn't do to improve my baby's sleep. We went literally from a baby who would wake 10 times a night, genuinely 10 times a night, and wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning consistently, to a baby who now only wakes once or twice a night and wakes up at around 7 o'clock in the morning. So I, for one, am extremely happy with that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what my approach is, what sort of things that I did and didn't do, and what really helped us to get to that point. So for those of you who don't follow me over on Instagram, I share a lot more about my daily life, a little bit about what I do for work. And for those of you who do know me from there, you already know that I come from a very much respectful parenting, gentle, positive parenting approach. I'm not into cry it out or controlled crying methods. My approach when it comes to parenting is very similar to my approach when it comes to Atticus's sleep. And that is meeting him where he is at, doing what I can to eliminate causes that might have been impacting his sleep, so making it a little bit worse, and promoting and sort of being conducive to optimal sleep for him, meeting him where his biological norm is, and looking at what's developmentally appropriate for our babies. So if that's something you might be interested in, keep watching, because I'm going to share some of the tips and the different things that I did and didn't do, and resources that I found really helpful to help us get to this point. So my goal with making this video is to help you become more educated, more empowered, and confident in your abilities to support your little one to sleep a bit better. And I have to put out the disclaimer that I'm just another parent. I am not a sleep consultant, I am not a trained sleep coach, but I have done an awful lot of reading in this area, and there are a couple of resources that I've just found completely changing. And one of the people who I really rely on and adore her content is Lindsay Hookway. I'm looking down because I've got her book here. So I actually won this book at a raffle, I think, some competition for lactation consultants. Holistic Sleep Coaching, Gentle Alternatives to Sleep Training for Health and Childcare Professionals by Lindsay Hookway. And Lindsay has a fantastic course, an online course that I would suggest anyone who is struggling with getting their little one to sleep should go and take. It's something that honestly is life-changing. She also has a course which I would only love to do, but I just feel like my head is just way too full at the moment for it to take on anything new, that she teaches healthcare professionals. So if you are in that arena and you want to learn how to support families in helping their little ones get to sleep, it's an amazing resource. I will do it someday, I promise. But some of the things that I have learned in this book literally have changed the way that I approach sleep. So it talks all about understanding what is developmentally normal and appropriate for your child at different ages. It helps you to understand why they sleep and wake the way that they do, and it busts a lot of the myths around sleep. So there's a huge amount of misnomers and misinformation in healthcare in general, and particularly in sort of childcare and childbirth and all of that area that I work in. And a lot of the things that you hear on a day-to-day basis aren't necessarily evidence-based. And if you follow me on Instagram and if you've been following me for a while, you know that that's what I'm all about. I don't really care what you have to say unless there's a really significant evidence base behind it. So this book is just jammers full of that information, and it really helped me to understand why Atticus was waking during the night, what exactly he was looking for, how I could support him in that journey. I learned a little bit about sort of how breastfeeding can help your baby get back to sleep, and how it's actually really normal for your little one to wake during the night, and how in fact we all do rustle and stir during the night, whether it's just to roll over and plump up your pillow, or to get up and have a quick wee or a drink of water during the night. But the difference between us as adults and little babies is that they rely on us to comfort and reassure them and get back to sleep. So we have to help them get to that point until such time as they are developmentally and age appropriate wise ready to do that on their own. And there's no way to teach your baby to do that. So this kind of the idea from Lindsay's philosophy is about supporting your baby to get to where they need to be. So I learned a lot about sleep cycles, looking for sleepy cues. So watching my baby, not watching what some other person had told me what my baby should be doing. So that really gave me a lot of peace of mind, and I would recommend anybody to go and read this book, as well as go and follow her over on Instagram. She's got a fabulous Instagram page with loads of really knowledgeable and in-depth IGTV tutorials and chats and discussions with other healthcare professionals. She's also trained quite a few lactation consultants and nurses to work under the same ethos as her. So I will list a couple of those down below, and a couple of them have already given me discount codes for their sleep courses. So make sure and go and check them out and let me know how you get on. I'm always excited to hear how families are thriving under guidance or being sent in the right direction. So I sort of touched on that tip there in terms of looking for those sleepy cues. The minute I knew what I was looking for and the difference between a sleepy cue and your baby telling you that they're tired versus me having a number in my head. So a lot of books will tell you that a 6-week-old baby should be having wake periods of 1.5 hours, and then you should put them down for a nap. When in actual fact, we should be looking at our babies, we should be watching for those sleepy cues, we should be looking for what they're telling us, because they are trying to communicate with us. They can't yet talk, but they're doing everything that they can to let us know what's going on with them. So that would be my first tip, is to educate yourself and look for your baby's sleepy cues. Once you learn them, you will see them like they're shouting from a neon sign. For Atticus, he literally will like pull at his ears, and he will like rub his eyes. He lets you know straight away, and that has really dictated what I've done in terms of tailoring his sleep routine and how our days and naps are run based on his cues. So it's very much infant led. So my tip number 2 is one that I think we're all a little bit guilty of. I can completely see this scenario. I'm busy all day long, particularly as a work from home, stay at home mum. So I get up in the morning and I'm already thinking about the things that I have to do for work. So I'm kind of trying to mind him, trying to, cook, clean, and get work done. So what can quite often happen is the day sort of sails away from me, and by the time it gets to bedtime, I realise I actually haven't had one-on-one intensive doing whatever Atticus wants to do, engaging with him in a sort of really connecting way. So one of my suggestions here would be to dedicate time at some point, whether it's close to bedtime, whether it's just prior to the bedtime routine, whether it's just after tea time in the evening, where you literally love bomb your baby. You are focusing on them, you're not doing anything else, put the phone aside. You are sitting down on the floor with your child, engaging with them, whether it's a little bit of baby massage when they're really young, whether it's your bath time just one-on-one, whether it's sitting down and doing story time, or just having silly time, fun playtime. Watching your baby's cues combined with that can be really powerful. So for us, sometimes that's wrestling on the playroom floor, and if Atticus is really full of energy, I'm not going to be trying to wrestle him into bed. We used to have these awful, be forcing him into sort of a bedtime routine. I say force, that sounds really excessive. It wasn't forceful, but he wasn't happy. He wasn't ready to go to bed. Whereas now I'm able to observe his cues a little bit better, and really love bombing him before bed. It means that I'm kind of adapting what form that takes based on his energy level. So if he's just not ready for bed and he's not showing me any cues, we will have a bounce on the bed, have a bounce on the sofa. We will run around and play catch in the garden. So giving your infant that one-on-one time gives you a massive boost of oxytocin, as well as your baby. That feeling of love, being loved, of bonding, helps result in a much greater sleep. Never mind the fact that you are getting that exercise in for your little ones. They are physically tired too. But that is my tip number 2. Love bomb. So that actually brings me quite nicely onto tip number 3, which is to really look at your baby's circadian rhythm. And it can take your baby from somewhere between 4 months is the average, right up until 6 months of age, before they really get into that circadian rhythm, which is sort of developing their own wake and sleep cycles. Oftentimes babies are even born with them completely opposite. So it means then that your baby just doesn't know the difference between day and night. Things that you can do to help encourage your little one to get into a really solid sort of routine around this point is exposing them to as much daylight as early on in the day as you can. So that means outdoor play with a smaller baby. That means getting them out in the buggy or in the carrier during the day, letting that bright sort of natural light do its magic. Another thing that's really important as well is to invest in some dark blinds or curtains for nighttime. And this is actually only something that we did really relatively recently. And just me being a little bit stingy, I started off by getting a dark sheet and just throwing it over the curtain rail, and I was using that in replacement of getting proper solid blackout curtains or blinds, and it actually did the trick. And straight away I was like, there's something in this. And now we make it a point of getting up and out early in the morning together, whether it's a walk or a run around the park, and getting that like physical exercise as well as that dose of bright natural light has helped to really reset that circadian rhythm for him. It took quite a while for Atticus to kind of get into that natural state of circadian rhythm. He very much, when he was first born, was awake pretty much all night long. It took him quite a while to kind of figure that out, but these things have really, really helped and definitely set us up in the best way possible to get a good night's sleep. So my last tip then is looking at creating a soft nighttime routine. And when I say soft, I mean it can be flexible. It doesn't have to be rigid. Again, kind of coming back to that point of watching your baby and not kind of trying to strictly go by someone else's routine that they have written. You know, since when has a pediatrician become the expert on your child? So you are the expert of your own child. Watch your baby as opposed to watching the clock, and see what's going to suit them, and then adapt your routine to suit that. So for us, a typical nighttime routine, because children really thrive when they know what's happening, is we will come upstairs. So I'm a big fan of alarms now at this age. Atticus is 18 months, and one of the big things that we've really started doing sort of in the last month is setting an alarm to let Atticus know what happens. So I will get down to his level, and sorry, I'm totally going off on a tangent now, but I will get down to his level, get down to eye level, tell him, okay, we're going to set the alarm now, we're going to press, and in 1 minute when the alarm goes off, because he doesn't necessarily understand time, but he understands when the alarm goes off, it's time for us to go upstairs to brush our teeth and get ready for bed. So the alarm will go off, so he knows what's happening. He'll oftentimes take my hand if he's tired already. We go upstairs, we brush our teeth, change our nappy, get into our pajamas. Then whoever is in the house at the time, family members, will come up and kiss goodnight. And he picks out his teddy for the night. This is also something that we've introduced in the last month, but I don't think that he would really mind if he didn't have this teddy. It's just something that's quite nice as a sort of added comforter when he wakes up during the night. But he'll pick out that teddy, and then he brings the teddy to bed. We feed to sleep, and then he only wakes then one more time during the night, and I'll bring him in with me if I feel like a cuddle, or I'll hop into him, feed him, and then he goes back asleep then until the morning. So for a baby who was waking 10 times a night. He has gone from that to waking 1 time a night with no arguments with going to bed, understands the routine, knows what's happening, is tired at that point, and because I've been really observing him and supporting him as much as I can, to waking 1 or 2 sometimes times a night and waking up at about 7, 7:15 in the morning. It's a huge turnaround. So I put this to you, whoever you are watching this. Learn what is developmentally and biologically appropriate for your child's age. Understand the sleep cycles, understand why we need sleep, what encourages better sleep, and what you can do to remove the factors that are preventing optimal sleep for your baby, as well as encouraging and supporting, creating a sort of routine and a network of support structures around a more positive nighttime routine for your baby and more positive night's sleep for your baby. I really hope you found that helpful, and please do go and check out those little links that I've left down below. I'm not paid to do any of them. They're just people that I really admire and really love their work, and they've honestly changed. Sleep deprivation it's a really nasty one, and it can absolutely be the hardest part about parenting. So I don't wish it upon anybody, and I would love for us all to be getting more sleep as parents. So please do go and check those out, and I hope you find these little tips helpful, the things that I have done, and please do let me know if you have found them helpful for you, and if you take these courses, what you think of them, because I love to encourage people in the right way towards a more positive parenting journey.